guys, here's the scoop. You know, I've done some odd things on this channel, from starting a fight club to volunteering in the war to probably some things I can't even say in the first minute or so of this video if I wanted to stay monetized. I pride myself on like the variety of content and never like going into one particular niche, and always I like to keep it fresh. And people ask me like, if this is the stuff that you put out, like what hasn't made the cut? And I have some interesting stories about what hasn't made the cut. And probably the most interesting one, as you can see from the title, involves Andrew Tate.
Have you ever seen anyone with a vape? I smoke cigars, but I know what the fuck I'm doing. And what kind of parent lets their 16-year-old vape anyway? If I had a 16-year-old son who's like, I got a vape. Fuck out of here, vape. Do some push-ups.
First off, my meeting Marilyn Manson vlog. I did a vlog about trying to meet Marilyn Manson. He was playing a show in my hometown of Edmonton. I was in Edmonton at the time. I'm here right now as well. And this was before he was canceled. He was my favorite singer, and I was like, you know what? It'd be great to just do a vlog where I like try and sneak into the concert or do something to just try and meet him. I did not think I would meet him within like an hour or two of starting filming, but that's essentially what happened. First off, I bought a construction vest, and this was like a whole bit in the video, and something I truly believe, which is that if you have a construction vest, it essentially gives you license to go anywhere you want. Like, it's actually kind of scary. Wherever you're going, people will assume you're there to do some sort of job, and they will let you through. So that was kind of my bit. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a construction vest, and you know, I can walk into the concert, I can go do anything. But he still wasn't due on stage for some time. So I was like, okay, where else could he be? And now as I'm telling this story, actually, I realize I'm glad this never came out, because it was kind of creepy of me. But whatever, I really liked him as a singer, and you know, I just wanted to say hello, so it is what it is. The concert hadn't started yet, and I realized the nicest hotel in town was like a 5-minute drive from where the concert was taking place. I'm like, he's gotta be staying there. I pulled up to the lobby and I sat down. There was like a huge wedding party in the lobby, so nobody really paid me any mind, and I sat down on just like a random couch in the corner. I wasn't taking it seriously at all. Like I was filming and I was like, oh, I guess Marilyn's not here. Doo-doo-doo, time to do the next thing. Like it was just a kind of a bit. But then like the elevator opens up and like Marilyn Manson's drummer walks off. I think it was his drummer. It was definitely a member of the band. And I'm like, oh, shit. 30 seconds later, the elevator opens again. Like 2 more band members get off. I'm like, no way. And then Marilyn Manson walks off the elevator right in front of me, maybe 90 minutes after I like decided to do a vlog about trying to meet him. Kind of funny. There's like an entourage of dudes with him, between like security and the band and like maybe like roadies. There's probably like 10, 15 dudes kind of around him. So he's like exiting the hotel, probably to get on his tour bus, which was right outside. And I'm like, perfect, I'm just gonna be like, what's up, Marilyn? He's gonna say hi, boom, my job for the video is done. Like, that was easy. And so I walk up, like kind of beside him, like still respectfully keeping my space. And this was so stupid. I was like, hey, Brian. His real name is Brian. And I thought like, I don't know, dude, I was just really excited and like high on adrenaline. And I was like, yo, if I use his real name, he's gonna be like, yo, this guy's a real fan. Like, it's just like the stupidest logic. Like, he'll take me more seriously if I call him Brian. Probably would piss him off, if anything. So I'm like, hey, Brian. And he just doesn't even like flinch. Doesn't even like turn to register like, who is this random person beside me? Just leaves and doesn't like acknowledge my existence. And mind you, it was just me. There wasn't like a mob of people like, oh my God, So then he walks outside, he walks onto his tour bus. You know, after he ignored me the first time, like, I'm not gonna like, yo, what's up, bro? I'm right, can you hear me, bro? I'm right here. So I just let him go, and he walks on the tour bus. And then immediately, as soon as he ignores me, the dude behind him, who's probably like his main handler, just fucking flips on me and is like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get the fuck back, do-do-do-do-do. So then he walks onto his tour bus. I talked to like one of the roadies for a bit, and they're like, yeah, he just does that to everyone, so don't take it personally. And I was like, oh, he just walks past everyone who like tries to say hi to him and ignores them? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, got snubbed by Marilyn Manson. I probably could have done something with the footage, but I was just like so bummed out. And then he got like super canceled, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess he's just like not a good guy. I mean, probably I should have guessed that. Another interesting thing was I was supposed to drop acid at the Morbius premiere. What happened was, I was in Germany. I was hanging out with this lovely girl, Melody, who you might have seen in this video. She's like, yo, I just got invited to the Morbius premiere. If you don't know, it's like a movie with Jared Leto as a vampire that turned into like a huge fucking meme. And she was like, yeah, do you want to come to the Morbius premiere with me? Did you ever know about the South Park creators taking acid and going to the Oscars in dresses high on acid? So when she invited me to the Morbius premiere, I sent her like an article about that, and I said, I'll only go if I can do this, if I can wear a dress and be high on acid and vlog it. And she texted me back and was like, I mean, that's not my business. Like, this, if you want to do it, sure. And I'm like, perfect. So right around that time, my friend Neil, who was like the first person I met in LA, just randomly met him on a patio like maybe a year prior to this. He had started posting all these stories volunteering on the Poland-Ukraine border. I was just really touched because he's like a fucking millionaire from Santa Monica who doesn't need to do anything for the rest of his life. He has money, he lives on the fucking beach, and he's out there like driving refugees, like, you know, barely getting any sleep, like just helping how he can. And he had posted some story that was like, if anybody from home wants to come help, like, let me know. And I replied and I'm like, bro, you know I'm the only person crazy enough to come help you with this. Like, no one else is gonna drag their ass from North America to come do this. And he was like, okay, well come, like we really need to, like next week we really need a lot of help. Like there's so many refugees coming in, it's fucking crazy. And it was right during the Morbius premiere that he said they needed help. I had to choose between going to the Morbius premiere and volunteering in the war. I volunteered in the war. I have like a little video about it, and it was probably the most rewarding experience of my life. It's interesting because you can never turn back time and have another Morbius premiere that I am able to go to, you know? Like I made this binary choice where I'll never have that option. Of course, if anybody does want to invite me to a movie premiere, I will show up in a dress high on acid. I've actually never even done acid before, so I think that'd be lit if anybody wants to throw me the invite. As long as it's not some farty indie movie. Like, Morbius set the bar high, let's be real. That volunteering, it's funny because you think of war as like this dark thing, and it's not like I was on the front lines with an AK, like I'm sure that's a whole different thing. It was just being with the refugees and at the refugee camps every day. It was the biggest sense of community I've ever felt in my life, which is kind of ironic when you consider how desperate and crazy of a situation it is. But to me, that just makes it even better. It's like, wow, when shit goes down, sometimes humans can actually come together and do some good. And, you know, if fucking some random troops ever came into Canada and, you know, fucking started bombing this neighborhood, God forbid, like, I would love to be able to go to some sort of camp and have hot food and people, like, driving me around. And so it was amazing to provide that. Long story short, I made the right choice, but fuck the Morbius premiere. It would have been amazing. You can't trip on shit like that, especially not when, instead of the premiere, I had such an incredible experience instead of like having a mental breakdown in front of Jared Leto. That actually sounds kind of scary. And finally, Andrew Tate. This is another one where I'm gonna choose my words carefully, and I want to make it clear, I don't agree with Tate on everything. Like at this point, fucking Piers Morgan has interviewed Andrew Tate, who is the, you know, cleanest, most corporate person ever, so give me a break. This story actually, it doesn't start with me seeing a TikTok of Andrew Tate or something. It starts in Mexico. I was going to these meditation classes in Mexico, and one of the kids like found out that I had a YouTube channel and he wanted to pitch me on something. And so he invited me to this bar. So I'm sitting there and he's talking my ear off like, oh, I'm such a good salesman, here's my experience. And this guy next to him is like, what business you in? And the kid like starts telling him some more about it. And the guy, I don't even know how to say this, I was a little bit drunk too, so I don't exactly remember, but the guy just picks this kid apart and picks apart like all his strategies and just kind of like, he could like low-key tell, he's like, man, this 20-year-old kid is talking this guy's ear off about like sales tactics and his sales strategies. This guy's just trying to have a drink. And that was kind of the situation, and he like clued into it. And I felt like he was kind of just making it a bit easier for me, and he wanted to fuck with this kid a little bit, and it was all in good fun. So he picks apart the kid's sales strategies, and I'm like, okay, so you're a pretty good salesman or what? So he starts talking about his businesses and so forth, and he's like, you know my friend Andrew Tate? And I'm like, no. At this point, Andrew Tate had like maybe 100,000 Instagram followers. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look up Andrew Tate when I go home because this guy struck me as quite the character. So I looked up Andrew. This was only like a year ago, right? So he hasn't blown up, but he has these crazy vlogs of driving these crazy cars and buying whatever he wants and balling out, and I'm like, this guy is fucking crazy, like this is wild. So I DM'd him that night. I don't have the Instagram DMs anymore since, you know, his account is scrubbed from the internet. I remember I sent him my video about beating my cocaine charges, and I'm like, hey, I'm also super interested in business. I have all these crazy stories. I feel like we're kind of both characters, and it was kind of a bold opening message, but he liked it. He messaged me back. He was like, yeah, anytime, just come to Romania, we'll do the interview. I was like, oh shit, cool. But you gotta remember at this point, like, he's not as well known, and I had these like rough plans of going to Europe in like a month or two, so I was like, cool, whenever I go to Europe, you know, I'll get around to doing this interview. Crazy, right? A month or two later, I'm in Europe. So I messaged him again and I'm like, hey, I'm in Europe, let's do this. Let me know like what date you wanna do. I think at this point we're emailing. At one point he invited me to Dubai for a week. This set off like a pattern of him saying, let's do the interview, but then his schedule kind of tampering with the interview happening. So he invited me to Dubai for a week. I'm like, awesome, like, what's the dates? He let me know. And then he would just kind of drop out of contact, probably because he would get busy with other shit. I like had the window open to buy the tickets to Dubai. I'm like on the page, just emailing him like, yo, are we still doing this? And yeah, good thing I didn't buy the tickets because I just wouldn't hear back from him. A couple weeks later, I hit him up again. He says, do you have the equipment to do this in London? I'm there often. Oh, I must have been in LA. I said, I can make that happen. I'm in LA right now. Let me know when I'll fly over. At this point, I'm like, I'm fucking ready to go at a moment's notice. He adds that if I have to fly somewhere specifically, come to Bucharest, Romania. It's more interesting. I said, okay, how's the 26th in Bucharest? And at this point, I can see he's literally about to blow up. And I want this interview so bad. Because I know I would do it different from anyone else. I feel like people ask him really shallow questions. So I'm like, you know what? If I don't get this interview now, who knows if I'll ever get it. So I fly to Romania by myself and I just Hail Mary it, bro. I emailed him and I'm like, I'm reading the email. I said, I have flown to Bucharest on nothing except the possibility of this interview happening. That's one of the sentences. Obviously, I just sent him a little paragraph, but that's just... And you might think that sounds extreme, but at this point I've sent him a lot of just formal emails, you know, should we do this date here? Should we do that date there? I'm Hail Marying. He hits me back, he says, you're here now? I said, yep, I'm here. He says, I fly tomorrow, so it would have to be tonight or in 4 days when I'm back. I think when I'm back is best. Which is fine with me because I was literally backpacking at this time. I only had my camera. I thought about it, I'm like, damn, should I just invite him over to the hotel and we just run the interview off a camera and boom, done. In retrospect, I probably should have just fucking done that. But he says he's back in 4 days. He says he'd prefer to do it when he's back. So I'm like, okay, cool. That gives me time to actually buy podcast gear and do this professionally. I'm like, okay, perfect. Let's do it when you're back in 4 days. How's Saturday? Never heard from him again. And that's the end of the story. It just like, you know what really fucks with me is I wonder if it was some sort of test when he said, it would have to be tonight or in 4 days. Like, I feel like that was like seeing if I would just hop on it. But I didn't have any fucking equipment. Like, this still irks me so much. I know you're annoyed probably with me just watching this. I'm sorry. This is a video about me just straight fumbling bags, okay? I've secured a lot of bags. This is a video about me fumbling, okay? I'm putting myself out there. Have mercy on me. So from there, I said, let's do it when you're back in 4 days. And from what I could tell, he went on like a giant trip because he still had Instagram, so I kind of saw what happened on his story. He was like all over England, all over France, and his 4-day trip turned into this thing that was like a couple weeks long, and where he was just driving sports cars through the mountains and shit. So assumedly that's why he didn't get back to me, because he extended the trip to just fucking ball out, which God bless, like I can't blame the man. I remember I was running around like different hotels trying to find a place to do the interview, and I told one of the staff that it was to interview Andrew Tate. It was like I had said that I was doing an interview with Tyler Durden. Like, the guy's face got so serious, and he was like, whatever you need, bro, like, let me know. Motherfucker like practically looked both ways, like, oh, fucking Andrew Tate, okay, like, let's go. Romania is a beautiful place. I'm glad I went anyway, you know? All these things were like interesting life experiences in one way or another. After I had watched him party on his Instagram story for 2 weeks, I was like, okay, well, this could go on for another month, like, I don't know. And I'm not hearing back from him. So I flew back, I flew to London, then I flew back to Canada for a bit. But yeah, I still think it would be an interesting interview. I'd still love to do it. And looking back on this, I don't even think I fumbled this. I think, you know, he's got a crazy schedule, and I have like a medium-sized channel, while, you know, at this point, everyone in the planet is begging him for an interview. It's like, realistically, why should he do it on my platform, right? So I was so fucking close that I was in Romania and we were talking about doing it like tonight. Like, man, that would be one of his craziest interviews ever. I'm so sure of that. Because I'm neutral, you know? I'm not like some steroid bro who's just gonna ask him questions about money and girls. And I'm also not like some ultra woke fucking pussy who's gonna try to slander him the entire interview. I feel like I would take a nice neutral ground on it. So, yeah. Fuck, I even spent $1,000 on podcast equipment before I realized that he just wasn't replying to me again. Rest in peace. Oh, there was one video I pussied out of doing. Just straight up pussied out. A lot of these I'll give myself the pass, or it wasn't my fault is in some indirect way, but there was one video that fell through, spending a week in Canada's most dangerous city. And I'm gonna put my Patreon in the description, and if I get $100 worth of pledges to my Patreon off of this video, that's enough for a bus ticket in and out of this most dangerous city in Canada. If you sign up and I get at least $100 of pledges, I will take a bus in and out of Canada's most dangerous city, and I will spend a week living there, taking it in, telling its story. I want the full boots on the ground experience. We'll do that if anybody wants to sign up. We can call it a punishment for fumbling some of these ideas. A lot of them, you know, now that I look back, a lot of them weren't my fault. But you know, I won't sit here and make excuses either. So on that note, love you guys, peace.